A great show for you today. It seems like I'm going to have to touch on the subject that I really didn't want to spend a whole lot of time on, which is the Israeli Hamas conflict. And I shouldn't call it a conflict. Yes, in fact, it was a massacre on behalf of what Hamas did to innocent Israeli citizens. Completely wrong. Absolutely and completely wrong. And it seems like I forgot to turn on my studio lights, so I better go ahead and make sure and get my studio lights connected or working. I guess I can do it automatically from my phone. Let's go ahead and get those lights on. And I think, there we go. Better lighting. Tom C is in the house. Welcome, Tom C. Bridge MCP is in the house. Shiva Las Vegas is in the house. Eric Hayes is in the house. Bruce Pollard is in the house. Paul Fleming is in the house. Lee Grant is in the house. Yvette Avery Herod is in the house. Paul Fleming. And Michael Rudnin AVQ. Welcome aboard, folks. If you hear some noise, they are busting up concrete to fix this slab that we have here. So if that interrupts you, you know what's going on here. Anyway, folks, let's go ahead and get busy. I'm going to start, of course, with something Bridge MCP wants me to put on the screen about the one and only Kennedy that is screwing up royally. Let's go ahead and read that onto the screen before we get started with the program. It says, statement on Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s announcement today. The decision of our brother, Bobby, to run as a third-party candidate against Joe Biden is dangerous to our country. Bobby might share the same name as our father, but he does not share the same values, vision, or judgment. Today's announcement is deeply saddening for us. We denounce his candidacy and believe it to be perilous for our country. Rory Kennedy, Kerry Kennedy, the Honorable Joseph P. Kennedy II, Kathleen Kennedy Townsend. So there you go. Again, maybe Republicans thought it was going to do them good to get him going. But guess what? It turns out that there are polls, in fact, now that show that Kennedy will be taking the right-wing fringe votes, folks that believe in some of the right-wing craziest things that he believes in, and run with it. So it may actually hurt Trump more so than Kennedy, though I think it's a lousy thing for them to do. Anyway, moving on. Let's see what else we have here. Bruce says, peace to this wicked world. I agree 100%. Violence is not the answer. I don't think that's Bruce Pollard, is it? Who is BP Alpha? Is that okay? Maybe it is. Yeah, on YouTube. Okay, got you. All right, folks. I want to go ahead and do something here. I didn't really want to speak on the Israeli issue because it's a touchy situation, especially because anytime anybody speaks against, it was more pronounced before. Anytime anybody speaks against something that an Israeli prime minister does, etc., it have a tendency for some of the right-wing folks in this country, our country, to try to pin that you are what's the word that I want to use? That you are somehow anti-Semitic. As everybody would know, that's the furthest thing that one can say about me. I'm anti nothing at all. Anti nothing at all with respect to humanity. That said, it is imperative that what we do going forward, it is imperative that we realize that human beings are in fact human beings, irrespective of their mother, their father, their brother, who does things in their names, etc. And in that light, today's program, I prepared it from two specific articles. And what I'm going to do is go through those articles. But before I get there, one of the reasons I was a couple minutes late is that I was trying to process two videos to make a point, to make an important point. And I didn't test the videos, so I hope the videos took correctly. So I'm going to bring them in with the expectation that it worked okay. One of them I didn't even remember to go ahead and format it appropriately. The first one has to do with how MSNBC was covering this morning, and I don't have this particular video, but this morning there were two Jewish, I think right-wing Jewish supporters on the program Morning Joe, and they were really attacking anybody who had anything to say about the Palestinians and what the Palestinian plight was or is. And they really saying we shouldn't even be talking about that. This was an attack on Israel. This was an attack on Jews in Israel. And that's the only thing that matters. You're either with us or against us, is a sort of tonality they had. And I sat down there watching this as I was spinning right after my show this morning. And all I could think of is, this is why the problem is never solved. And you wonder if the problem is never solved because there are folks who want this problem to continue going decade after decade after decade, because there are solutions. Most people want a solution to these problems. Jews don't want dead Palestinian babies. Palestinians don't want dead Jews. They don't want that. So what's the problem? You know, I want you to see this narrative, how Katie Tur, something that Katie Tur said in here. And I hope it captures some of your imaginations. I'm going to play this, and then I'm going to take it on the other side. But listen to how Katie frames the missiles flying. Listen to how Katie frames what's going on, and then we'll take it on the other side.
70% of the people of Gaza are refugees. More than half are children. They're trapped. There's no way out.
Okay.
And the UN reports, and even Israel is saying the situation there.
I got to stop. Like I said, I processed the video right before I came on, and that one seemed to not have taken. So the one with Katie is the one that I really want to get played first of all, and I think that one came out okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the Katie Tur video, and as I play the Katie Tur video, I'm going to try to get back to the other one. So let's go to the Katie Tur video and see if I can get it played. Like I said, this is a rush job that I try to get so that you guys could see what I'm saying. Let's go to Katie Tur. Let's see. I think I can get it done. This is what happens when you have to rush things.
You're looking at the Gaza Strip. It is just after 10 p.m. there. The exchange of rocket fire, although it looks quiet right now, has been almost nonstop today. Hamas keeping its promise to strike the Israeli city of Ashkelon earlier, warning residents to get out before 5 p.m. local time, then sending a barrage of rockets. The Iron Dome lighting up with interceptions as residents and journalists have repeatedly taken cover in bomb shelters. In fact, warning sirens have been going off throughout much of the country as Israelis tuck in for yet another night sleeping in safe rooms and bomb shelters, an option not afforded to the millions stuck in Gaza. On the border there, the Israeli army is massing, readying for a possible ground invasion. We stress possible. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vowing to root out Hamas. But what will he do about the estimated 150 hostages Hamas says it has? And new reports cited by President Biden just now that the organization, which is deemed a terrorist group by the U.S. and most Western nations, is murdering babies in stomach-turning ways. There is also growing criticism of Netanyahu himself. From analysis in the Times of Israel, quote, the idea was to prevent President Mahmoud Abbas or anyone else in the Palestinian Authority's West Bank government from advancing toward the establishment of a Palestinian state. Thus, amid this bid to impair Abbas, Hamas was upgraded from a mere terror group to an organization with which Israel held indirect negotiations via Egypt, and one that was allowed to receive cash infusions from abroad.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number one, subscribe to our channel. And number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly.
Okay. I think I just got it processed, and I hope I got the other one processed. Anyway, I'll play it later. But I want you to listen to what Katie Porter said. She said the missiles are flying. And the Israelis, they are all tonight going to have a very difficult time. They will be going into their bunkers so that these missiles will have no effect on them. What I was very happy to hear Katie Tur say, and that's the difference when you have a humane person, a person that even though there are pressures on her to be careful on what she says with respect to the Israeli-Palestinian issue, was able to say it. Here's what she said, that the people in Gaza will not be afforded the ability to hide from the missiles coming from the other side. And the same thing that Hamas is doing or had done to babies and to folks out there in Israel is the same thing that is happening right now to babies in Gaza, to innocent families in Gaza. It's the same thing that's happening, just the person perpetrating the evil, the person perpetrating the murder as revenge. It's saying, you killed my mother, you killed my father, you killed this. And now we are indiscriminately going to kill people of your kind. Let me tell you why this has a touching feeling on me. Because we have a tendency, when any American, when any Israeli, when anybody of the particular class, the particular country, the particular race that some may deem of higher value, we have no problems if something happens, if they perpetrate something that is quote unquote bad. We will go in and annihilate not just the perpetrators of that evil, but we will go annihilate everything. And again, this is not just something that is occurring Israel against the Palestinians. When America wanted Manuel Antonio Noriega, when America said Manuel Antonio Noriega did all these things. By the way, Manuel Antonio Noriega was nothing but a capitalist. You know, he saw a need and he fulfilled the need, which is what our capitalists do here. We just try to legalize whatever need they decide that they want to profit on. They came into Panama and annihilated Chorrillo, blew it to smithereens, and killed a lot of innocent families. Families that had nothing to do with Noriega. Families that did absolutely nothing. Suppose each one of those Panamanian families who got murdered by the U.S. Army or U.S. Navy, U.S. Marine. Suppose any one of those families decided to exact revenge the way Israel is exacting revenge on the Palestinians, the way America exacted revenge in Iraq falsely. Suppose these people reacted this way, right? So now I want you to notice something. The death toll in Israel is rising. It's about 1,000 people, right? Innocent Israelis dead. And right now, I think the count is up to the known count in Gaza is probably a little bit under that, probably 800 or so people. But by the end of it, you can guarantee it's going to be 10 to 1. You can guarantee it's going to be 10 to 1. Because every time these things occur, the Palestinian people suffer more. Terrorists from Palestine do something bad. The toll exacted on innocent Palestinians, 10 to 1. There's a chart that I'll try to find on TikTok for you, not on TikTok, on Twitter for you, while I play this second video that I just got processed. And I want you to listen to this because this guy said something that was rather profound. Let's listen to this, and then we'll take it on the other side.
70% of the people of Gaza are refugees. More than half are children. They're trapped. There's no way out. And the UN reports, and even Israel is saying the situation there is unlivable. Now, you use your own semantical imagination. How would you describe a situation where people are caged into conditions which are literally unlivable? What word would you use? I'm not going to use the word. Use your own imagination. And as the United Nations Relief and Works Agency, UNRWA, put it, it said, Gaza is unique in the world in this one regard. Wherever there's a natural catastrophe, say there's drought, or a human-made catastrophe, say war in Syria, the people always have the option to flee. There's always the option to flee. Gaza is the one case, the one instance in the world today where they're verging on an unlivable situation. That's not poetry. That's a physical, biological fact. Unlivable. 95% of the water in Gaza is unfit for human consumption. Each day when a child drinks water, the child is poisoning him or herself, but they can't leave. They're caged in. As your former prime minister put it, Gaza is an open-air prison.
Gaza is an open-air prison. Gazans could only leave Gaza through checkpoints controlled by Israel into Israel, or a checkpoint controlled by Egypt into Egypt. And nobody allows them to leave. They can't leave. They are on the shoreline. They can't leave by the shorelines. They have no airports they can leave from. They don't have anything. They are in prison, period. How many people in America understand that there are 2 million people living in these conditions? Their electricity is controlled by Israel. Their food is controlled by Israel. Everything else is controlled. And yes, Hamas did a horrendous thing, and there's no support here for Hamas. None. But blowback is an interesting thing. Blowback gives people the ability. Even the UN says, if you are an occupied if you are occupied, you have the right to fight out of there. I am not justifying what has occurred. I have to repeat that over for people who may just be joining the podcast, etc. That is not what this is about. This is about humanity. This is completely about humanity. And let's understand this. I said something on the Steve Hunter show 2 days ago, and a few people attempted to give me hell because they chose not to understand what I was saying. Every day in Gaza, every single day in Gaza, the people in Gaza are under duress from the possibility of bombings from Israel. They're constant, you know. You take a look at the landscape. Do a Google search. Do a Google map of what Gaza looks like, of all the buildings that have been blown up. And then go ahead and go to Tel Aviv, go to Jerusalem, go to Kaffa, go to all these different beautiful cities in Israel. And ask me who is doing damage, right? Who is under duress? Who is feeling the pain of this fight that needs to be resolved? On this fight that needs to be resolved, not militarily, but honestly through negotiations, understanding that the right to land belongs to all those folks there. I mean, what we never ask ourselves is, suppose the indigenous people, yesterday was Indigenous Day, or a few days ago was Indigenous Day celebrated here. Suppose some of those folks went to West Texas and said, this is my land, I'm taking it, I'm kicking you out. America would have a completely different stance. I mean, listen, we would have a completely different stance, but we don't right now. Biden just gave an interview, a just press conference. We are 100% backing Israel. I don't think, I could be wrong, but I don't think I heard Biden speak about the plight of the Palestinians not once. I don't think I heard him. I mean, our reporters are. Ali Velshi has. Ayman Mohayedin has. Mehdi Hassan has. The scholar that I just played has. Because they understand it's not just about terrorism. It's a lot deeper than terrorism. It's about humanity. It's about humanity. And what Israel is amassing to do in Gaza right now is to kill and kill and kill under the pretext of going for Hamas. Again, these 2 million peoples have no way to exit. At least they could, if they could exit, they could leave. But they can't. They can't. And for those who choose to simply see belligerents, send aircraft carriers to scare people and not to take it up. Scare, tell the folks what's coming. We are going to blow you up. I want to show you what has happened to the Palestinians since 2008. And the reason I'm doing this program is not to be pro-Palestinian or pro-Israeli or anything like that. It's to be pro-humanity. And also for folks to understand that we, as American citizens, we have to go beyond our government and we have to lead our government into being humane. It is our responsibility to be humane. And what we have right now are too many voices out there that have no interest in true humanity. It's about we win, Israel win. Israel has already won in being able to have that territory the way it is carved. You know? But look at your screen right now. Look at the deaths since 2008 from this conflict. Specifically, look at 2014. Look at 2009. Look at 2008. Look at 2023 right now. Before this last event started, look at what the deaths looked like before this last invasion by Hamas. Look at what it looks like. Look at that disparity. Now, the Hamas massacre, the Hamas terrorist attack, zoom that up. But look at that red line. And let's look at that red line in a month. And you're going to see what I'm talking about. Some lives are valued more than others. Some lives are valued more than others. It played itself out in Panama. It played itself out in Grenada. It played itself out in Dominican Republic. It played itself out in, and I'm naming all these countries where we were involved, and it turned out we were involved with the wrong side. It turned out the same in Chile. But because we have been taught not to learn, because we have been taught that we don't want critical thinking, we don't want history, We don't want history. Eric says peace through strength. How good has that been working? Israel has been showing a whole lot of strength, and it still got 1,000 of their people killed. It still got 1,000 of their people killed. Egberto, every nation values their own citizens more than foreigners. Not only their own citizens, in this case, Israel as well. Because if that were just a tenet, Brother Rudnin, then we would look at Israel and Palestine alike, and we would say, how do we solve this? We wouldn't say, we are here to support Israel. No, we are here to support humanity. And we are going to go in there. Israel is getting supplied all the bombs and missiles that are now going into Palestine, into Gaza, provided by us. So now we are complicit in the murder of Palestinians. Now we are complicit. And as such, there will be blowback. There will be blowback. And when we start understanding it, then we'll get it. Lee Grant says, how do we reconcile the need for humanity with Hamas resolution of destruction of the Jewish people? Again, Hamas is one entity. Hamas is not the 2 million Palestinians in Gaza. That's not Hamas. But the 2 million Palestinians in Gaza are suffering what Hamas has done in the name of in the name of how badly, how poorly, how inhumanely the Palestinians are treated in Gaza. Again, I am doing this program because all we are hearing about on all these networks are the suffering of the Israeli people, and justifiably so. They're suffering. They murdered 900 people. But now Israel is about to inflict a suffering on innocent Palestinians because of Hamas. And nobody's there. Their lives have no value to America. Their life has no value to the Israelis government, that is. But I tell you what, I've been talking to a lot of my Jewish brothers and sisters, and you know what? You know why I'm able to do this program feeling confident that there's no risk for somebody saying, you are anti-Semitic? Because they felt the same way too. They felt the same way too. And in fact, we will start the program with one specifically. Let me get to that article written by let's see. I want to make sure that I get the right article out here. I want to get the right article by Gideon Levy. Let's talk to Gideon Levy, and he's with Haaretz. Okay, that's the preeminent newspaper in Israel. So let's go ahead and get there. He says, Israelis made to suffer the cruel price for oppression of Palestinians in Gaza. Now that is how you report. That title says it. Israelis made to suffer the cruel price for oppression of Palestinians in Gaza. The threats of flattening Gaza prove only one thing: we haven't learned a thing. The arrogance is here to stay, even though Israel is paying a high price. Behind all the lies, Israel arrogance, the idea that we can do whatever we like, that we'll never pay the price and be punished for it, will carry on undisturbed. We'll arrest, kill, harass, dispossess, and protect settlers busy with their pogroms. Note, illegally, Israel just decides to go take away Palestinian land and put a settlement there, protect the settlement. When the Palestinians try to reclaim their land, they kill them. Do we report it here in the United States as Israel going against a treaty and building settlements and killing those who decide to try to keep their property? Do we report that as that? No, we don't. We don't do that. We're not even. And that's what they see. Continued with his article. We'll visit Joseph's tomb, Othniel's tomb, and Joshua's altar in the Palestinian territories. And of course, the template mounted over 5,000 Jews on Sukkot alone. We'll fire at innocent people, take out people's eyes and smash their faces, expel, confiscate, rob, grab people from their beds, carry out ethnic cleansing, and of course, continue with the unbelievable siege of the Gaza Strip. And everything will be all right. Somebody has to tell the entire story. Somebody has to stand up and say, we feel the pain of the Israelis that were killed wrongly. But let's not forget what has wrongly been done to the Palestinians. We'll build a terrifying obstacle around Gaza. The underground wall alone cost 3 billion shekels, $765 million, and we'll be safe. We'll rely on the geniuses of the Army's 8,200 cyber intelligence units and on the Shin Bet security service agents who know everything. They'll warn us in time. We'll transfer half an army from the Gaza border to the Hawara border in the West Bank, only to protect far right-wing lawmaker Zvi Sokot and the settlers. And everything will be all right. Everything will be all right. Both in Hawara and the Erez crossing into Gaza. It turns out that even the world's most sophisticated and expensive obstacle can be breached with a smoky old bulldozer when the motivation is great. The arrogant barrier can be crossed by bicycle and mopped despite the billions poured into it and all the famous experts and fat cat contractors. Remember, it's the same thing we're trying to do. Build the wall. Build the wall. What did they do? They just went over the wall and under the wall. They used gliders over the wall. They use tunnels under the wall. They use explosive through the walls. Are we gonna, if we can, to protect a wall, you need people along the entire wall, which almost says you don't need the wall, because if you have people along the entire wall, you don't need the wall, right? We thought we'd continue to go down to Gaza, scatter a few crumbs in the form of tens of thousands of Israeli work permits, always contingent on good behavior, and still keep them in prison. We'll make peace with Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, and the Palestinians will be forgotten until they are erased, as quite a few Israelis would like. We'll keep holding thousands of Palestinian prisoners, sometimes without trial, most of them political prisoners, and we won't agree to discuss their release, even after they've been in prison for decades. We'll tell them that only by force will their prisoners see freedom. We thought we would arrogantly keep rejecting any attempt at a diplomatic solution only because we don't want to deal with all that. No, we don't. We don't want to deal with all that, and everything would continue that way forever. Once again, it was proved that this is how it is. A few hundred armed Palestinians breached the barrier and invaded Israel in a way no Israeli imagined was possible. A few hundred people proved that it is impossible to imprison 2 million people forever without paying a cruel price. Just as the smoky old Palestinian bulldozer tore through the world's smartest barrier, Saturday it tore away at Israel's arrogance and complacency. And that's also how it tore away at the idea that it's enough to occasionally attack Gaza with suicide drones and sell them to half the world to maintain security. On Saturday, Israel saw pictures it has never seen before. Palestinian vehicles patrolling its cities, bike riders entering through the Gaza gates. These pictures tear away at that arrogance. The Gaza Palestinians have decided they're willing to pay any price for a moment of freedom. Is there any hope in that? No. Will Israel learn its lesson? No. On Saturday, they were already talking about wiping out entire neighborhoods in Gaza, about occupying the strip and punishing Gaza as it has never been punished before. But Israel hasn't stopped punishing Gaza since 1948, not for a moment. After 75 years of abuse, the worst possible scenario awaits it once again. The threats of flattening Gaza prove only one thing. We haven't learned a thing. The arrogance is here to stay, even though Israel is paying a high price once again. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu bears every great responsibility for what happened, and he must pay the price. But it did start with him, and it won't end after he goes. We now have to cry bitterly for the Israeli victims, but we should also cry for Gaza. Gaza, most of those whose residents are refugees created by Israel. Gaza, which has never known a single day of freedom. This is by a Jewish reporter at Haaretz. And if you don't feel that essay was written from the heart, you could feel it as he's writing. I could feel it as I'm reading it. I could feel it as I'm reading it. From Bridge MCP. The roots of the conflict and mistrust are deep and complex, predating the establishment of the State of Israel in 1948. Both Palestinians and Israelis see the territory between Jordan River and Mediterranean Sea as their own, and Christians, Jews, Muslims are all hold parts of the land as sacred. The past 7 decades have brought war, uprising, and times the glimmers of hope for compromise. Here is a timeline beginning around 1948, including the latest violence in Gaza, World War I, the question of Palestine. The Ottoman Empire had controlled a part of the Middle East from the early 16th century until control of most of the region was granted to the British after World War I. You know, I like how the British and the Western countries just come and partition this stuff up, right? Both Israelis and the Middle East from the early 16th century until control of the region was given to the British after World War I. Both Israelis and Palestinians were struggling for self-determination and sovereignty over the territory, developing respective moves for the cause. In 1916, the Sykes-Picot Agreement, secretly negotiated between Britain and France, planned to carve up the Middle East into spheres of influence and determined that the land in question was to be internationalized in 1917. Britain's Foreign Secretary, Lord Arthur Balfour, expressed his government support for the establishment in Palestine of a national home for Jewish people. In a letter to Baron Walter Rothschild, the head of the British wing of the influential European Jewish banking family, skip to World War II, 1948. Israel declares independence after World War II. Nearing the end of the British mandate for Palestine, the United Nations General Assembly in 1947 passes Resolution 181, urging the partition of the land in 2 independent states, 1 Arab, 1 Jewish. Religious significance, Jerusalem is to be under special international administration. The plan is not implemented after the Arab side rejects it. It's arguing that it is unfavorable to their majority population. Violence in the region, conflict grows. Israel declares independence in 48. The next day, a coalition of Arab states allied with Palestinian factions attacked Israel forces in what becomes the first several Arab-Israel wars. In the end, Israel gains control of even larger portions of territory, not including the areas of the West Bank and the Gaza Strip. An estimated 700,000 Palestinians flee are driven out of their own land, what Palestinians refer to as Nakba, or catastrophe in the Arab world. So yeah, this is not new. LOL, I never want to hear Egberto complain that Republicans resort to whataboutism. He's doing it right now. Move on. No, I'm not doing whataboutism. I'm doing fact-based talking. All right, I saw Bruce Pollard. I want to say, Bruce says, let's see. Bruce says, there is no simple solution to this. It predates our country. I think the role of the U.S. play now is driven by people who use money to control. I agree wholeheartedly. Bruce also says, could be how do they look compared to those? I don't know what you're talking about there, Bruce. Let's see. Bruce Potter said, Washington only, that is what I think I need to, I missed something that you said earlier. Do you know the fear that drives Israel to violate humanity? I want to hear you say it. Yeah, I know the fear. Do you know the fear as well of the Palestinians also? And that's what I'm trying to say. I mean, the Israel is going through the fear that Palestinians go through every day. And that is not a justification. That's just a statement of fact. To live in Palestine is to live in prison. It is amazing. And I think if people had more empathy, they could see that. They could really, really see that. Let's see. Bruce says, Paula, you didn't say it. Okay. Say it? I don't know what you mean. Okay. All right. Daniel says, Egberto, yes, what Hamas did was bad, but what about the decades of imprisonment? No. I mean, what Israel did to the Palestinian is bad too. Is that about it? If I say that as well? Come on now. Get real. Let's look at this from Bruce Pollard says the Holocaust. Oh, the Holocaust. I see what you're saying. I see what you're trying to come to. You know what is so sad, Bruce? That one would think that empathy would dictate that you see what the Holocaust has done. And that's what other Jewish people have told me. The Holocaust should create a certain level of empathy. But, for people like criminals like Netanyahu, I guess it does not. I guess it does not for criminals like Netanyahu. Okay. All right. That is it. I'm spent right now. I mean, I am actually hurting really for what's going on in Israel, for what's going on in the West Bank. It's really doing a number on me because I kind of feel like, when somebody pulled the rug from under you. And the thing about it is I'm not even over there. But I'm feeling that dread coming from things being on autopilot. And as journalist Gideon Levy says, they won't learn their lessons. And just watch all of this being repeated again. There's a certain amount of dread that I'm starting to feel about this situation and the potential for an escalation, and for American politics to get involved to have people make all the wrong moves, including Joe Biden. Does anybody else feel that? Give me a call, 281-823-7747. I'd love somebody to come and talk. I would love somebody to come and talk with their voice and tell me something. I have this feeling of dread. 281-823-7747. Why don't somebody call in? 281-823-7747. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I really would. Because there's a certain sentiment here that worries me. I think maybe we make too much of our homeland. I think so too, Bruce. I think so too. I think so too. Egberto, it gets me all the time. I am upset about it all. Repeat, reset, repeat. What I hear and what I love. Okay, let's see. I got a caller. Come on in. Thank you, because I needed to hear from somebody. All right, come on in, caller. Who am I having the honor to speak to?
I got a caller. Come on in. Thank you. I'm Ben Mycelis from B Midas.
All right, I can't hear you. Come on in. Let me get rid of the echo.
It's me. I'm Ben Mycelis.
All right, who is it? Go ahead.
Come on in.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Who am I speaking to?
You got me?
Yes, I got you.
Yeah.
Yes, I can. Who am I speaking to?
It's Breach MCP.
Hey, I didn't recognize your voice, Breach. All right, I think I'm hearing some of the background from your speaker. But anyway, talk to me, Breach. Tell me what you want to say, because I am really in dread right now.
I can't hear you. I have to keep you on mute. So.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me through the through? You can't hear me through the phone?
Oh, okay.
Well,
Can you hear me through the? You can hear me through the phone?
No.
Okay, let me. That's probably a problem of mine that I need to fix. All right, I tell you what. Let me fix that as we speak. I think I know what to fix there, and I'm going to try to get that while we're talking. So bear with me a second. And folks, sometimes I screw up, and when I get these things going. So let me get to see. Can you hear me now, Bridge? Through the phone? Not yet? Okay.
Nope.
All right. I need to find out. Not yet. Okay, I'm going to try to get this fixed. I was working up to yesterday. I don't know what's going on now. All right, people that are listening, bear with us as we just do a little bit of engineering here. Let's see if I can get that fixed. I can't. Let's see if I can get that fixed. Oh, wow. Why can't I? Why did this have to happen on a day that I really want to hear from somebody? I really want to hear from you. Let's see. Let's see if I can fix it. I tell you what, Bridge, I'm going to hang up, try to fix it, and then I'll ask you to call back. Let's see if I can get that fixed real quick. But anyway, folks, yeah, it turns out that I am in a state of dread. Call that. Yeah, I hung it up. I'm going to try to get that voice fixed. I think I can. I think I can get the sound fixed, and that's what I'm going to try to do as I'm on here right now. I really wanted to hear you folks speaking, but what can I say? Sometimes things don't work out the way you plan. But I'm going to see if I can get the audio fixed and see what was the problem with the audio. The microphone comes into virtual line 1 and virtual line 2 goes out to the speaker. That should have worked. Line 1, line 1, line 1. Okay, folks, it looks like I'm not going to get that up and working right now. I'm going to have to get back to it. Sorry about that, Bridge. I really, really wanted to hear what you had to say. I really wanted to hear what you had to say, but I'm still not completely given up quite yet. Well, I guess I'm going to have to give up for now. All right, I'll get that fixed for tomorrow. I'll definitely get that fixed for tomorrow. But anyhow, folks, so all right, let's see. Okay, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Okay. I am going to get it fixed. I think I can see. People can hear. Please speak. Let me say something. Can you hear? Stay on the phone. All right, folks, bear with us a second. We're fixing phone systems right now as we speak to connect. All of this is done
electronically right now.
Yes, great. Bear with me a while longer. I am going to go ahead and get this fixed. I think I can if I got to get the right screen up and running. I want to get it done. So please stay with me. And folks, you're watching real time. So that's what happens here. You're watching real time. Line 1 should go over to you. I need to get line 1 over to you. Well, how do I get line 1 over there? Okay. All right. I'm trying. Okay. Bear with us, folks. I am trying to get a line to Bridge MCP right now. I'm trying to get it. Well, that doesn't help me. I need to. Okay. I tell you what, we'll get it fixed later on. I'll fix it and then get back with you. I'm sorry about that, guys. I hate that. Anyway, we'll fix that another time. Anyway, folks, sorry for the mishap. I hate that, but let's get back to the program. We only have another 3 minutes. So let me go to whatever it is that you're saying. All right. Lee Grant says, how can people harmonize with those who destroy them? Okay. And I want you to answer that. I really want you to answer that. I want you to answer what you just stated there, Lee Grant. How can people harmonize with people who this would destroy them? Isn't that how the Palestinians in Gaza feel as well? Please answer me. Is that how the Palestinians in Gaza feel as well? Think about it. Isn't that how they feel as well? I think it is. So those are the things that we have to look at. Those are the things that we have to look at. So anyhow, there are a lot of subjects that I need to cover, but right now I am spent, and I'm going to close this down about 3 minutes early. I'm really spent, and my mind is not. This has me spent. Anyhow, folks, my name is Egberto Willies. Please support the program. You can support the program by going to politicsdoneright.com/support. politicsdoneright.com/support. I'm going to give you that link right now, politicsdoneright.com/support. You can find any of many ways to support the program. I want to ask you as well to consider becoming a paid member of our newsletter. You can get that at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. My name is Egberto Willies. I want to thank all of you for being here. I want to also thank all of you from listening and not going. In as much as this Palestinian-Israeli issue is a very difficult issue, there are some platforms where you cannot have the conversation. And I'm honored that I can have the conversation here with y'all. And I hope that some of what we get here is stuff that we can share and try to change minds as well. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel. And number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please.